Welcome to Everything Life Coaching, exploring the art, science, and business of coaching with your host, Noelle Cordeaux, CEO of Lumia. Each week, we dive into cutting-edge coaching trends, interview industry experts, and provide practical insights to help you thrive on your coaching journey. Get ready to expand your coaching toolkit and transform lives, including your own.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Everything Life Coaching. I am Noelle Cordeaux. I'm one of the founders of Lumia Coaching. I also serve as CEO, and with me today, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Joyce Chen. How are you?
Hi, Noelle. I'm so excited to be here today. I'm so excited to talk about our topic, and just thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Joyce, would you be so kind as to let everyone know who you are in the world and who you are to Lumia Coaching?
Sure. So I'll start with who I am in the world. My name is Joyce Chen, and I'm an executive coach and a brand strategist.
Okay.
I'm someone who truly believes in the alchemy of combining purpose, human potential, and business. And I often partner with growth minded leaders who are driven to excel and create impact in their businesses. One of the key things I do as a coach and strategist is I help founders, entrepreneurs, and leaders who are ready to level up their organizations and accelerate growth. And my partnership with them focuses on three key areas. Number one, helping them develop their business strategy. Number two, helping them build their brand and develop their brand strategy. And then number three, helping them build high performing teams. So I call it the three B's of business, your brand, and building teams. I have over 15 plus years of experience working in brand management across luxury, CPG, beverage, hospitality, and wellness sectors. And I've guided several organizations and leaders through critical growth phases. And so I'm really excited to be here. In terms of my participation with Lumia, I'm so happy to say, number one, I am a Lumia alum. I know, I love it. I still remember taking my first class in 2017 when I was so excited to jump into the world of coaching. And number two, I'm also one of the instructors with Lumia, and I have the privilege of teaching both our branding and marketing, as well as our entrepreneurship classes, as well as different workshops here and there. And obviously, I love this organization. I love the world of coaching and what it can do for people. And it's so rewarding to be an instructor with Lumia. One of my favorite things is just to see the light bulbs go off, or when students feel like they've been struggling to understand something and all of a sudden they have clarity. But more importantly, when they leave class excited to go figure out what to do next.
Yes. And we are so lucky to have you. The series that you run gets rave reviews from students across the board. And I know that you are cherished and beloved by all of our alums who have used your concepts to take their businesses to the next level.
Thank you. That's so nice to hear.
So, as you have been building your career in this space, what about the combination of branding, entrepreneurship, and marketing has kept you so engaged for so long?
Well, I mean, truly, they're all related. And as I said, I really believe in that alchemy of human potential, purpose, and business. Oftentimes, especially if you work in the corporate world, it's very heavily weighted on business, maybe not so weighted on purpose sometimes. And sometimes human potential gets ignored. But I've had the chance and the ability to work on businesses where I see all three sing together. And it's really important. When it comes to building your business strategy, let's be real, that's important. It's important to get that right, to be able to grow and thrive, because that is the reason why we go into business, and we have to accept that. But I think the pieces that make it magical, especially around your brand is your promise and it's your story. And it's so important to make sure that as you're building your business, you're also building that promise around your business and the story around your business that truly resonates with who you want to meet and who you want to serve in terms of a consumer or a client. And I think where coaching has really helped has really been around that team piece. You can have a great business idea, you can have a great brand, but if you don't have the right human potential or talent, or if you don't have the right team to bring that to life, you're only as good as that idea will be on paper. And so by bringing all three of these things together, it's been really exciting to see how all three complement each other. And truly, the most successful businesses and most successful brands in the world know that they have to get all three right. And coaching has just been an amazing tool to help thread all of these three concepts together.
Awesome. Awesome. And what I love the most about what you're saying is the way that you center the coach in your description. So for folks who are starting out, who are listening, Lumia students, Lumia alumni, you are the center of this alchemy, and how you feel at every turn, your own internal compass, your own intuition, your own interests, what makes you unique in the world is the thing that will shine through. And so, as we're approaching this topic, I just want to enforce that everything we're talking about is not only accessible, but it's teachable. And at the core, you already have everything that you need inside of you to be successful. And the work of doing this work is drawing it out of you. It's very similar to the way that we approach clients. We draw our knowledge out of the clients. We draw the strengths out of our clients. We draw passion out of our clients. And we do the same with ourselves as we are approaching business building. So I'm very much embedded with our whole team, and I work very closely with our admissions coaches. And one of the things that consistently comes up when our admissions coaches talk with folks who are interested in joining Lumia is this idea around getting clients. And I'd like to back up and talk a little bit about where I think this idea comes from for people who are at the starting line of joining coach training, and do a little bit of empathy mapping around what they see, hear, think, feel, and experience. So, all of us live in a digital world. We live in a digital age. And when you first start Googling coach training or coaching, one of the first things that happens is you get wrapped up in algorithms. And you begin to be the subject of targeted content. And oftentimes, that targeted content is going to be overwhelming and weird, where you're going to get information coming from all different sources from, take this overnight coaching class and make six figures, to join our business building program and come out a pro, build a six-figure business in 3 months to a year, versus, we have the number one prescribed way to do things. And I can say for sure that at Lumia, that is not the way that we operate at all. From a philosophical perspective, at Lumia, we are coach trainers at our core. And the purpose of our education is to not only teach you how to be a really good coach, but how to also give you fundamental tools that represent best practices in the marketplace delivered by world class experts like Joyce in areas that are foundational and unchanging. Our core curriculum is also supplemented by a series of different support structures that we'll get into in just a little while. But the way that I see Lumia is we're a huge table. We're a huge banquet of all sorts of yummy foods and concepts and ideas that represent the world of coaching. And it's a welcoming table and it's an accessible table. And we invite everyone, all of our diverse students to the table. And if you sit at the table with us, you will be served that which you need to nourish yourself and build a business. And all of the support that you get will be customized for you so that you can pick up and take what you need and leave that which you don't. And I think that that's a really important distinction. We don't have a cookie cutter program. We don't have a prescribed approach. We do look at each human in our organization as an individual that has their own flavor of brilliance and their own impact to create in the world. And our goal is to bolster your confidence with accessible tools, techniques, and strategies that you can carry with you for the rest of your life. Joyce, you have now trained thousands and thousands and thousands of students alongside me at Lumia. What is your perspective?
Yeah. Noelle, I so respect and appreciate your philosophy and Lumia's philosophy and perspective on this. Um, I think I'll just start with the very human piece. When any coach enrolls in a program, is of course, eventually one day you will want to enroll clients and you will want to gain clients. And that is very, very real. And that is absolutely something that we want people to be able to do. I think the real conversation is in the how. How do you enroll clients? How do you build your client network? And similar to you, I have seen programs that say, like, build a six-figure business overnight. And honestly, if it were truly that easy, I think all of us would be doing that tomorrow. The reality of business, and we talk about this in entrepreneurship class, is it does take time. It will take time for you to build your business. It will take time to build your client base. And more importantly, at least for me, my philosophy really matters in the how. There are so many different roads to Rome. There are so many different ways you can build out your client base. Some of what you'll see with programs out there is all about building a sales funnel, which is perfectly appropriate and perfectly fine. And at the same time, if that's not something you're interested in, you can certainly build your business in other ways. For example, in our class in marketing, we talk about our go to market strategies. There's mass marketing strategies and there's organic marketing strategies. And some people feel much more comfortable building out their business through relationships and referrals. And we want to welcome that because, similar to what you said, Noelle, the coaching world is so diverse, but also students who come in, their backgrounds are so diverse. And what's more important is that they're building their business in the way that makes sense for them and that is comfortable for them. So when it comes to the philosophy behind what we teach, we want to make sure that we introduce students to the starter foundations, the starter concepts around business. And through our business series, that looks like teaching the foundations through entrepreneurship, which is all about how do you build your business? How do you think of the structure and the things that you need? Then it also looks like intro to branding and marketing. And that is all around how do we attract leads and attract interest for potential clients in the future. And then the last piece of the business series is sales, which is around how do we enroll clients and how do we get them to sign on with us. So again, the goal in all these classes is not to say this is going to get you the client. The goal in these classes are to say, we're going to give you the foundations across all these three areas so that you can decide this is how I want to build my business. And these are the ways I'm going to lean in and really define your how of how you want to grow.
Absolutely. And how you want to feel as you're enacting all of these things. I think the piece around comfort is so very, very important because as we grow into our coaching careers, we change along the way. I'm one of those humans that has relied for my own private practice on organic techniques. And over the last 16 years, I've maintained a pretty steady word of mouth only practice. And then I look at other folks within our organization, John Kim, being one of them that, is now a best-selling author and has a tremendous online presence and uses all of the fancy stuff backed by a team like sales funnels. And we started the road together. And so these are two different examples of people who do things very differently for different outcomes that serve our unique needs as how we want to exist as humans in the world.
Absolutely. And both are right and both are celebrated.
100%. One of the things that we're going to take a really deep dive into today is the updates and the evolution of the way that we teach entrepreneurship, branding, marketing, sales in the Business Lumia series. I know, Joyce, you touched on this. This includes our entrepreneurship, our branding class, and our sales class. So, first of all, why is it important to evolve with a curriculum as time goes on? What have you seen having been in this space for as long as you have?
Yeah. Well, I think it's important to evolve because here's the reality: business is constantly evolving. The industry of coaching has constantly evolved. Even the tools that we have at our disposal today, those tools have evolved. And so, what's really important for us at Lumia, and also what's really important for me as an instructor, is to make sure that we're staying current and that the foundations that we're teaching those foundations in the context of what we see today and in the context of what you will need to help build your business or think of your brand today into tomorrow. So I think that's really important for us as we think about why we made the changes and updates to our curriculum. I think the other piece that's really important to point out is we're always listening to feedback. I actually love reading the feedback from students after class, and it's really, really helpful because we are constantly co-creating with this community. And we want to make sure that we're delivering what students and alums have come to expect from Lumia. And so, what's been really, really great for us has been to read the feedback. And what you'll see as I talk through some of the changes is we've listened to some of that feedback and then either incorporated that content or adjusted the format and tools to be able to help our students continue to thrive.
Absolutely. We survey every single student after every single class for feedback. And all of those surveys come directly to my desk and I read them, every single one. My favorite is when I'm teaching a class and I begin to get the survey feedback on myself while I'm teaching it. That's, I'm like, guys, I'm still teaching. Okay. But it's a way to stay connected to the community. It's a way to make sure that everyone's voices are heard. And if somebody has feedback that I want to follow up on, I do email whoever gave me the feedback and say, hey, can we chat? I want to hear more about your experience so that we can improve our processes as we go. So Lumia is so much more than just a coach training program. It's a community, it's a coaching test kitchen, it's an intellectual incubator. And together we have built this awesome program that so many have benefited from. So huge thank you to every single alum who's ever given feedback, because your words, your thoughts, your needs have gone into building the program that we have today. So, Joyce, you've been here for forever. Where have we been and where are we going in terms of the Lumia Business Series?
Yeah. So I think what I've always appreciated about where we've been is Lumia has always brought in diverse thought leaders and thinkers on all the topics that we teach, especially when it comes to business. And I would say in the beginning, a lot of what we taught still was foundations, but also very anthropological in nature. And as we've continued to evolve, what we're really focusing on are foundations. Foundations are so important because it creates a solid baseline for everyone to work off of, especially since our students come from such diverse and different backgrounds. Some students might already be aware of some of these concepts, and for some students, this will be brand new. And so, our philosophy is always to provide the foundation and starter concepts so that we can get everyone on the same baseline. And then, more importantly, from there, when the students have that baseline, they can choose how much further they want to go, or how deep they want to go, or where they even want to focus their continued learning moving forward. And so, as we move forward, we can talk about what's changed and what's showing up in the future. Here's how we've enhanced our content. Number one, we've made sure that all of our classes not only talk about theory, but that we also provide tactical frameworks and that we apply that very quickly within class. So, some people love learning through theory, some people love learning by doing. So, we make sure each of the classes through the business series between entrepreneurship, branding, and sales combines both those practices so that we can satisfy our diverse range of learners. Number two, I would say what's changed is each tactical framework that we provide in our classes now also comes with examples. So we provide you, here's a framework, here's a template. By the way, here's an example of how you can fill it out so that as you continue to self-study, you know how to apply it and you know how to use it so that we're making sure that you're learning it, doing it, and that you can reapply it in the future. And then I would say the third big thing that we've changed is we've updated our resources on reading and provided more templates and tools on the student portal so that you can download them, you can work with them, and you can go at your own pace.
Absolutely. And I think what's most exciting for me is that we know that when folks come into a learning environment, oftentimes it's a little shell shocking to take in all of the information at once, all of the information in the student portal, all of the workbooks, all of the templates, thinking about your brand while you're learning how to coach. And that is one of the number one reasons that we allow all of our alumni to come back and take up to 5 classes a year for free to refresh on these concepts. So if you're thinking, okay, it's going to take me 6 to 9 months to go through our signature program, that's the better part of a year. You can come back a couple months later and go through the entire business series again when you're ready, when your skills are enhanced, when you have your feet on the ground, and when you have some more real world experience to apply to the different templates. So, this is a way of living and working with a material that goes on and on. It is not a one stop shop, it is a generative, ongoing relationship with the organization that is your intellectual home for coaching.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, Noelle, I love when alums come back to class. Um, Oftentimes they'll announce themselves and the feedback is consistent. They'll say, you know what? I know I took this class before and I've been self-studying and doing it again just gave me, 5 to 10 more insights of what I could do next. Because as you and I know, learning is a continuous process. And so our goal is to try to be as supportive as possible to that through all the tools we've created.
Unmask what goes on in our classrooms and give folks a peek into what the experience is like inside of the Lumia business series. So, Joyce, for each class, I would love to know what goes on and maybe some of your absolutely favorite parts of the student experience.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let me start with the overall experience when you come to one of my classes. Like many of Lumia's classes, there's always a combination of lecture, classroom discussion, some group work sharing, and in some instances, individual work sharing. So, in my classes, when we go through the business series, there is all of that. There will be some lecture time, there will be some classroom discussion time, but most importantly, I value the group discussion that the class has. And so there's often partner work. And then also in some of our classes, we leave time for some individual work. Again, this highlights the importance of teaching through theory and getting to practical application very, very quickly. And that is because, as you say, Noelle, we do have a lot of content and we want to cover it and we want to satisfy the different learning styles that we have. So, just to kind of highlight a few favorites of what to expect. So, let's start with Entrepreneurship 101 because that is important, right? That's all about how do we structure our business and how do we think about our business. And Entrepreneurship 101 is really designed to give students a comprehensive introduction into the journey of building a business. So, this class explores entrepreneurship in my favorite way, which is both from a personal development perspective as well as a professional perspective. And the key thing I would say thematically that is important for this class, we don't just address the steps and tell you how to build the business. We actually take a good portion of the class to address the mindset, behaviors, and traits needed for entrepreneurship. And here's why. We often find there's a ton of entrepreneurship books out there. There's a ton of resources that will tell you here's how you get from point A to point Z. But the difference in what makes an entrepreneur is how they think, how they feel, how they manage their behaviors, and how they get past limiting beliefs. So we actually cover that as a part of our entrepreneurship class because that's just as important as these steps. So I love that this class focuses on the mental and emotional piece around entrepreneurship. And then we get into the tactical, the nitty gritty. Here's your flow, here's the journey. And one of my favorite things that we talk about in this class, especially as we get into the nitty gritty planning, is around how to build your vision and your business model and future focused thinking. And obviously, that comes with templates and tools that you can use. But I really love that this class focuses on both because the reality is you need to speak to the mental, emotional, and the pure business tactical piece of entrepreneurship.
That is so important. And it's so true that if you can at the starting line begin to harness a mindset that will support you in this work, it will lead to so much less suffering along the way as you go through the nuts and bolts of business building. And I love that we are introducing this in our community based learning format because students support each other along the way and can really rip this stuff apart, talk with each other about their experiences, learn from each other. Some folks in our classes have a lot to contribute to the conversation as well. So it's really a pure expert as well as an expert driven environment.
Yeah,
Amazing.
absolutely. And that's so important for entrepreneurship. And as we talk about, and that's so important for entrepreneurship. And as we talk about the changes and kind of high level themes for the intro to branding and marketing class, introduction to branding and marketing really equips students with the essential frameworks and examples of how they can build a distinctive personal brand or professional brand. So in this class, students learn their frameworks. They get guidance on how they can bring their brand to life through brand identity, which is all the visual and sensory pieces of brand building. And they also get intro frameworks on how to choose their go to market channel, on how they want to go to market with their coaching practice. And sort of like we talked about, do they want to go the mass marketing route? Do they want to go the organic route? And talk about kind of the trade offs on either decision. But one of my favorite things that we talk about in this class is not just the brand DNA framework, but there's a new component where we talk about how to think about your brand name how to name yourself and how to think through whether you want to brand yourself through your name, through a business, through a group. When we talk about all those trade offs, that's been such a fun addition to class. And I would certainly invite anyone to come back and check that out.
Oh, that's such an amazing exercise. And language is so important in the way that we use language to define ourselves and our business can really give us wings in so many different directions from our souls, the way we feel, the way our business is perceived, and the way that we exist in the world for our clients. Amazing. How about sales?
With sales, I think what's really exciting about sales is learning about how do you enroll clients. Again, and I'm using the word enroll very purposefully. Um, I think the piece, and I think we can all say it, that people feel really uncomfortable about at times is the ickiness behind sales. It's just a reality of what comes through that. But what I love about the approach that Lumia has taken is instead of looking at that as how do I constantly close, how do I constantly sell, it's really about partnership and enrollment. And how do I build a relationship with someone? How do I demonstrate my value? And how do I really meet their needs and who they are and where they are to then enroll them into working with me or working with my program or working with my offerings? And I think it's a very important shift change that needs to be made in the conversation. I always say in class, you are in the business of serving other humans. When you choose to come into this industry, you're absolutely in that business of serving other humans. And so when it comes to sales, it is important to think through all of your clients and consumer needs and speak to them in a way in discussion, in partnership that allows them to roll into the class. So I love the frameworks that are taught and that we explore and different ways in which you can do that.
Absolutely. Relationships are so central to everything that we do at Lumia. And whether or not you ever launch a coaching practice, touching and having access to these concepts and techniques will help you build better relationships. Let's say you're working as an internal coach. All of these tenets can still apply. Let's say you're coming into our essentials program because you want to build better parenting skills. All of these tenets will apply to how you build your relationships with the stakeholders in your life. All right. All right. So, as you and I were workshopping how this new curriculum rollout would go, one of the questions that you brought to me was, Noel, how do you feel about AI? What is Lumia's stance on AI? And we had it was such a rich conversation about it. Now, what I'd like to share with everyone, our community, folks who are thinking about joining our program, our alumni who want to come back and take these classes, is we do address how to use AI tools. My view, Lumia's view, is that AI is here. And any new tool needs to be taken in context. What is it? How does it work? How do we use it? And how can it be used to enhance the impact that we want to create in the world? As I've been delving into a lot of market research, a lot of data, as I'm preparing for the future, as I'm preparing our organization for the future, one of the things that has come across loud and clear is that from the World Economic Forum to the Global Wellness Summit to all sorts of different think tanks, from conversations with industry leaders, there is nothing that is going to trump the value of human connection in our time. There is nothing that is going to trump the comfort, safety, joy, and love that takes place within authentic human connection. And that's what coaches bring. That's what coaches bring to the world as social first responders. And there is a way to begin approaching advancing technologies in a generative, ethical, compassionate manner that allows us to enhance our work. Joyce, can you talk a little bit about what you've brought to the program?
Yeah. And I love the stance of embracing technology overall, right? The reality is, technology is going to continue to evolve in our lives. We've adopted new technologies before. This is just AI as an example of another new technology that is here. I do want to acknowledge the fear that some people probably have, which is, will it replace me, or will it replace a certain skill? My philosophy is, I don't think AI can replace everything, because to your point, human connection, especially in this industry, is so important. And there are certain psychological and physiological things that just cannot be replicated through AI that bridges that human connection. But more importantly, I think the people that will stay, and that the people that will continue to grow are the people who learn how to adapt with technology and learn how to adapt with AI. So, my best advice when we talk about this in class with students is, use it as a tool, not a replacement, but use it as a means to help you enhance your skills. Because the reality is, you would do that anyway through any new tool that comes in your life, through whichever work that you do, right? So with AI, I believe it's a tool. It is a tool that can be used for productivity, as long as the user using the tool puts in the right work and ethical standards and practices and how to use it. So, one example we talk about in class, AI is a great tool for brainstorming. Brainstorming a brand name. It's a great tool for helping you brainstorm your, one of the things we talk about in brand identity is figuring out your visual point of view. AI is a great tool to help you brainstorm visual mood boards for yourself. In entrepreneurship class, AI is a great tool to help you evaluate data and scenarios if you have data that you need to look at. And so we always say in class, feel free to use it as a tool to complement the work that you're doing. But again, as the user, it is your responsibility to make sure, you have the right information, that it's correct, that, you've checked out trademarks, and you've, done all the responsible puts and calls and checks necessary when you use the tool. But AI can be a great tool to help you build your practice as a partner alongside, especially in some of those examples that I've highlighted.
From here, I would like to take a deep dive into the support that exists outside of our curriculum. And here's my observation. I work very closely with students. I speak a lot with instructors, and so I know what it's like inside of Lumia. And when people first come into the program, especially when they're in the essentials portion of the program, they have their classes, they have their small learning groups, they have their peer coaching, they have their instructors, they have the student portal. They're very full, they're very happy. Their brains and bodies are flooded with all sorts of new information. Some people choose to take advantage of all of the extras that we offer, and those people are very, very busy, and they are certainly immersing themselves in the world of coaching. But what I see taking place the most is that it is our signature students and our alumni who mostly come in and take advantage of all of the additional offerings. So, here's a full rundown of what we have going on inside Lumia. First of all, we have office hours with me. This takes place weekly. I run it at different hours to accommodate different time zones, and folks come in from all different parts of the world to discuss what they're up to. What we do, generally speaking, as a small group, is we take a tally of what everyone wants to work on. We put it in the chat and then we prioritize it by what we can reasonably hit in an hour. And you not only get my direct feedback and perspective real time on whatever issue you're working through, but you also get the benefit of groupthink. We have a lot of really bright, talented people within our organization. So having lots of different perspectives is so valuable. The types of topics that folks bring in or I want to launch a new business, or how do I market myself, or I don't want to use social media to market myself, or I do want to use social media to market myself. I might have students come in with a very specific client issue, or they have a proposal that needs a review, they have a contract that needs to be looked at, or they just want to get some general inspiration to send them on their way. This is what we do every week in our office hours, and it's an incredibly valuable part of what we offer at Lumia. In addition to that, we have our Coaches Cafe. A lot of times, yes, our classes are interactive and we do a lot of group work and peer work, but there's just not enough space for folks to really talk about the nitty gritty of their ideas, their lives, their concepts, their business building. And that's why we have Coaches Cafe. It is a catch all social environment for folks to come in, network, make new friends, get feedback, talk about their businesses, talk about their lives, and get the benefit of being in community with a whole lot of other coaches. We also have Coaching Power Hour, where folks come in and they swap session for session. They build their skills, they build those hours towards that ICF credential. And it's incredibly powerful to have this experience with coaches from all over the world. From there, we also offer coaching mastery, which is something that I run. I do this once a month and I bring in experts like Joyce or sales experts or more marketing experts or heads of coaching divisions at global organizations, or I tackle topics myself and we create an interactive, supplemental, ongoing educational experience for students, alumni, and community members to come on in and learn all sorts of different things, whether we're looking at the top 2025 trends that are going to impact our industry, whether we're looking at very specific types of coaching techniques or cutting edge science, or even trends like coaching in nature that are really coming to the fore. This is a space for you to come on in and learn. And all of our coaching mastery sessions are recorded and housed in a library that our students and alumni have access to. We also have book clubs. We also have our BIPOC affinity group. We have our LGBTQA group. And we also have mindfulness, meditation, and yoga for our coaching community to grow, stretch, learn together, and move our bodies around in a little bit of a different way. And we have a digital marketing class that runs on loop for folks who want to dive into that type of business building. And finally, we have lots of specialized workshops, much like one that Joyce runs, which is Business 2.0, that's run quarterly. Joyce, I'm going to pass the ball to you to tell us all about it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm so excited to have Business 2.0 debut this year. It's coming this summer. And it's a revamp of some of our workshop content, but it's a quarterly workshop that's designed to help Lumia students dive deeper into building their brand and their business. I want to emphasize the workshop piece of this because what we've heard from students is it's so important to get hands on. So, this class will have some lecture, but it's really intended for all of us as a class to workshop frameworks and tools together. So, it builds upon Entrepreneurship 101 and Intro to Branding and Marketing. I highly recommend that if you've taken those classes, then you'll have the foundations to understand where we go next with Business 2.0. And what we do in this workshopping type class is we explore three specific topics. One is how to identify your potential niche or how to think about your niche. Two, discovering how you can use that niche to transform outcomes for others for your ideal client. But number three, the piece I'm really excited to introduce as a part of Business 2.0 is how do we develop a starter marketing plan? And what we'll do is we will work through something called a consumer journey framework. Again, a template and a tool with an example. And we'll workshop it through class so that you can work along side by side with myself as I teach it, but also with your group so that you can get an action plan framework on a marketing plan to help you get started. And the whole goal is to help students take what they learn and get started, take that first step so that you can go ahead and start building your coaching practice.
This has been so much fun. It's been incredible to be here with you today. Joyce, thank you so much for all that you contribute to the world of coaching, to your clients who go out there and create ripples in the world, and of course, for all of the gifts that you bring to our community. As we close out today, I think one of the things that I'm so curious to learn from you is what are you seeing? What are some of the things that you are the most excited about? That innovations that are taking place coming out of Lumia's own community of coaches?
Yeah. Well, one, I think I'll talk about it in the themes. And sort of these are themes that I continue to see evolving in the industry as well. So number one, I know retreats are a thing and have always been a thing, but what I will say is the different take our students have on retreats is just so cool. Oftentimes, most people think of coaching and retreats as like wellness retreats, restoration retreats. One of the things I really loved seeing is students taking their own modalities and making those retreats so specific to a certain niche that you think to yourself, why don't we have that type of retreat? So, for example, breathwork type retreats for mindfulness. So, different than just get away from overall wellness, but really focusing on a specific topic. Another one, a student alum and actually one of our community members doing like a winter renewal retreat. How brilliant is that? We save our retreats for summer, we save it for warm weather, but I love that she went a completely different route and said, "We're just going to embrace winter and coziness and do a retreat around this." And it was brilliant. And from the pictures that she shared, it looked like she had such a great group. And I was thinking to myself, wow, what a great way to embrace coaching and bring it to life in a completely different season where everyone zigs, you zag, and to be just as successful. So I love ideas like that from students. Um, and what I would also say that is really interesting that I'm seeing in the industry and seeing some of our students ask questions about or alumni continue on are two concepts. One is around the idea of membership. And instead of just coaching through sessions or packages, but really embracing membership. And I would say what's important about that is that really focuses on building lifetime value with a client and building long lasting relationship with a client versus being transactional with a client. So I certainly see that as while it's a concept we understand in other places like gyms or professional organizations, to see it come through in the coaching space I think has been really powerful and very service oriented towards clients. And then I would say the next thing that I think is really exciting to see our alumni and students do, but also something I'm seeing a lot more in the industry, is this idea of embodying coaching just as a part of your role overall. Um, and making that just a part of your standard everyday operating practice. The number of times I hear students say, I'm bringing this coaching back to my corporate role so that I can bring an element of human focus, human potential, um, an element of compassion and purpose through harnessing that human potential in the corporate world, I think is really exciting. And it's been interesting because in talking to different leaders, they're not just asking for people who can do the job through their qualifications. They want to seek out people who know how to lift others up and support others and help harness human potential. And I think that's where coaching steps in. So I think it'll be really interesting to see what else our students do, and really interesting to see the industry continue to grow and evolve around the idea that coach and whatever role you are really become one and the same and become this embedded skill set that more and more people are seeking, just as a part of everyday practice.
Wow, what a wonderful session. Joyce, it's been so wonderful to be with you today. We are so lucky to have such a world-class expert helming such an important aspect of our curriculum and being so accessible and dedicated to our community. We appreciate you. We love you. It's been wonderful spending this hour with you. And for all of you at home listening, thank you for joining us. And to our students and our alumni, come back and see us in those 5 classes that you can take every year. Come see us in Business 2.0. And if you're thinking about becoming a coach, please don't hesitate to book a call with one of our admissions coaches. Sometimes I hop on the phone from time to time just to surprise people, and I'd love to talk to you as well. I hope everyone has a great day. And Joyce, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you. This has been so fun to talk through all our exciting updates. And then just thank you again for your continued leadership of our organization, Noelle. It's really such a joy to serve this organization, serve the students, and continue to build with you all.
Thanks for listening to Everything Life Coaching. If today's episode has inspired you to take the next step in your coaching journey, I invite you to explore what Lumia Coach Training has to offer. Our comprehensive coach training program can help you turn your passion and gifts for helping others into a thriving career. Ready to learn more? Book a no-obligation call with our admissions team today. Just visit lumiacoaching.com/everything and click on the Book a Call button. We'd love to hear your story and show you how Lumia can support your coaching goals. And if you're waiting for a sign to take the next step, this is it.